Kia ora ana tātou katoa hou e ki pia moe kakai whanua. You are listening to PMN Tonga. Malo e tau mau e whiawhini kai ngā whanongo. Now, international organisation UNESCO uses education, science, culture, communication and information to foster mutual understanding and respect for our planet, ai palanite. Now, they work to strengthen the intellectual and moral solidarity of humankind and bring out the best in our shared humanity. Well, joining us right now is the Aotearoa youth leader and a very proud Tongan. We have Lotima Vaioleti who joins us right now. Lotima, malo e tau mau e whiawhini and welcome to our Polokalama.
Malo lere, John. Lovely to see you again.
It's awesome to have you on our Polokalama, my brother. Can you give us, maybe let's start with where you're from in Tonga. I know that's a very Tongan thing. People like to know your roots and your connections to the kingdom. Let's start off with that, Kātaki Pētakaua.
So, my grandfather, Tavita, he comes from Hawaii, and then my grandmother comes from Hawaii, Muna, Nonu, but most of the family has now kind of migrated to Tongatapu.
Cool, yeah. And I love it that, you know, that you work in an international organisation, but I see you're very, still very much proud of your Tongan connection. You obviously know where your roots are from. Do you get to go home much?
It's been a while since I've been home, and obviously it was quite a time when our people back in the islands was experiencing the eruption.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't been there since high school. But a weird feeling of being Maori and Tongan, the kind of feeling of being home. I wasn't brought up there.
Oh yeah.
But the feeling of the moana and the whenua.
Well,
yeah, 100%. And having a Tongan father, it's built into you.
Tō atu. Well, it's lovely to meet you, and I'm sure your kāinga who are tuning in are very happy to hear and also see your voice, see your face on our Polokalama. Now, tell us more about your role with UNESCO.
So, you talk about UNESCO, and let's bring it back to our National Commission in Aotearoa. So, the National Commission saw a gap around youth voice, youth leadership. So there was the creation of the UNESCO Aotearoa leaders, or Manukura Mātahi. So it was enabling youth voice, but also enabling increasing leadership within the space. And as you can see, John, you saw our group. Quite a diverse group from many other Pacific Islands, but a lot of Indigenous, which is quite a stark difference, and you see in a lot of spaces in the mainstream.
Well, tell me about your mission and what led you to be part of this organisation, because my understanding is that you're passionate about progressing positive youth outcomes, particularly concerning Māori and Pasifika and Indigenous affairs.
So when looking at that, a lot of the leaders initially when looking at the priorities. So UNESCO's priorities, they look around empowering communities for sustainable futures, freedom of expression, Indigenous knowledge, and the ocean's well-being. As it's probably been mentioned in the Festival of the Future, we are focusing on the 2 decades, the decade of ocean science. So everything to do with creating a moana for tomorrow, so something better to leave behind. And another interest was around that Indigenous knowledge, and also, as of last year, the launch of the Indigenous Language Decade.
That's fantastic. Tau te whito ki he puke koe ne taurea, especially that taonga, our language and heritage, very important, especially so many of our kāinga are now living abroad, outside of the Pacific nations. When you talk about the oceans, what's your view on that, and what can we do to better share the awareness around what is happening back home? Climate change is the big issue.
As we know, many of our Pacific nations are at risk of actually losing their islands because of climate change, rising sea levels, unprecedented weather events. So really it's around knowledge sharing. So what we've started to notice is that actually a lot of our tipuna, our ancestors, actually had ways, practices to kind of be one with times like this in extreme weather events. And now we're seeing more of a spotlight around that Indigenous knowledge. And with that Indigenous knowledge, it's through that language transmission. So a lot of our old ways are actually within the language itself.
And as I mentioned in the introduction, UNESCO using things like education, science, culture, and things like that to helping to share more awareness about the issues. What's your message for our community when it comes to these pressing issues around the climate and also the future of our smaller low-lying islands like Tuvalu, Kiribati, that we've already seen the impact of water rising?
I think a key message would be, because there is the argument that bigger, larger powers to be in the world contribute most to the pollution around the world. And, what's our kind of fit within, the whole scheme of climate? But I think it is just a little bit of contributions from everyone. That's how we roll in Tonga. You all have a role.
Yes.
So I think it's more about collective action. So moving as one. Obviously, there are heaps of facets around relationships and so forth. But first, I think it's coming together and addressing these issues together, because I think there are multiple perspectives and different ways in doing things. And I think the collective knowledge is what really needs to push forward, other than lobbying against mass polluters. But that's a whole nother story.
Malo Pito Lotima for joining us on our Polokalama, and I'm sorry that our Polokalama, we're running a little bit short on time, but how can people find out more about the Pacific arm of UNESCO and the work that you guys are doing? Is there a way that people can find out more details or keep tabs on what you guys are doing, the Pacific Voices?
I think the best way is to follow the UNESCO Instagram. So UNESCO has an Instagram which they post all their engagements, whether it be Pacific or Indigenous in general, but it really just covers, the movements and so forth. And you can also head to the website to get more information around the work that we're doing. But just a heads up that UNESCO has made an intentional move to increase relations within the Pacific.
Well, me take maata, Malo Pito for joining us on our Polokalama, and Lotima graduated from the University of Waikato with a Bachelor in BMS and a Diploma in Te Tohu Paitahi, our Māori Immersion course in 2020. So one of our academics, but also advocates for us at UNESCO. Ofalahi atu Lotima, thanks for joining us on our Polokalama.